What if those who've passed aren't truly gone, but are seeking ways to reach out? Sometimes, love finds the most unexpected ways to remind us it's there. Losing a loved one is one of life's most profound and painful experiences. The world can seem to lose its color, leaving an emptiness inside. In these moments, when their physical presence is gone, many of us wonder, what if the connection isn't completely severed? What if an unseen thread of love and memories still exists? This universal human desire to maintain a connection with those who have passed is driven not only by belief in an afterlife, but also by a deep psychological need for comfort, closure, or simply the feeling of their presence. When grieving, we often look for signs that our loved ones are still nearby, watching over us, or even trying to send a message. This can be a natural part of the healing process, a way to cope with pain and keep cherished memories alive. We cling to any possibility that love transcends death, and that the bonds we formed are never truly broken, only transformed. Here's what nobody tells you about the signs loved ones send from beyond. Sometimes, when we least expect it, the world around us seems to speak to us in a different language. Some of the most common and deeply personal signs from departed loved ones manifest through our senses: smell, hearing, and touch. Imagine this. You're at home, and suddenly, for no apparent reason, you catch a familiar scent. It might be your grandmother's favorite perfume, the tobacco your grandfather used to smoke, or even the specific aroma of baking that always reminded you of Mom. There's no source of the smell in the room, and it appears suddenly, then vanishes just as quickly. These moments often evoke strong emotions, creating the feeling that your loved one is near. Similar experiences can happen with sounds. Perhaps you hear a melody that was particularly meaningful to you and the departed, even though the radio is off. Or it could be a faint whisper that sounds like a familiar voice, or even the sound of footsteps in an empty hallway. Skeptics might call these auditory hallucinations, but for many, they become powerful confirmations of an unseen presence. And finally, the sensation of touch, a light touch on your arm, as if someone is stroking your hair, or a sudden feeling of warmth when no one is around. Some describe it as feeling a hug or even a gentle breeze in a closed room. These subtle yet distinct physical sensations can be incredibly comforting, creating the illusion that the veil between worlds has thinned for a moment. Of course, there are always rational explanations for these phenomena. But for those seeking comfort and connection, these sensory messages become more than just coincidences. They are perceived as gentle reminders that love can indeed overcome any distance, even the one that separates us from those who have passed. Perhaps these stories make you think, give you goosebumps, or fill you with hope. If you feel this unseen connection and are seeking answers to profound questions about what lies beyond the visible, then don't miss the chance to continue this journey with us. Subscribe to the Mysteries of the Spirit channel now to avoid missing out on new content. Like this video so it reaches others who, like you, are seeking signs of comfort and understanding. Remember, this could be the last time you see content that can change your perception of the world. While physical sensations and smells can be fleeting, the world of dreams often becomes a clearer and more personal channel for connection. Many people who have experienced loss report vivid, realistic dreams in which they meet with their departed loved ones. These dreams are different from ordinary nighttime fantasies. They're often unusually clear, emotionally charged, and leave a lasting impression upon awakening, creating the feeling that it was more than just a dream. In these dreams, the departed may appear healthy, happy, often conveying messages of comfort, love, or guidance. They might communicate through words, gestures, or simply a presence that brings peace and reassurance. Sometimes these dreams recur, creating a sense of regular meetings that help one through grief and feel that the connection isn't broken. For many, these visitation dreams become invaluable moments, offering hope and confirmation that their loved ones continue to live on in some other form. Beyond dreams, there's another, more subtle type of connection: intuitive insights. These aren't just hunches, but sudden, inexplicable knowings or strong internal nudges that come in moments of doubt or when making important decisions. You might suddenly feel that your departed loved one approves or disapproves of a certain action, or that they're trying to steer you in the right direction. These intuitive insights are often accompanied by a feeling of calm, or conversely, a slight unease that feels external yet deeply personal. Of course, the psyche of a person experiencing grief works in unique ways, and the brain seeks ways to cope with loss. However, for many, these dreams and intuitive feelings go beyond ordinary psychological processes, becoming a source of deep comfort and belief that love truly overcomes all obstacles, even the most invisible. Sometimes, messages from departed loved ones don't appear in vivid dreams or fleeting smells, but in the very fabric of our everyday lives, in a series of seemingly random coincidences that take on profound meaning. This is what's known as synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that have no causal connection, but carry a personal message. Imagine you're grieving for a loved one, and suddenly, out of the blue, an object that was especially dear to them crosses your path. It might be an old coin they collected, a feather that always reminded you of them, or even their favorite book that you find in the most unexpected place. Such discoveries are often perceived as gentle hellos from another world, a way to remind you of them and say, "I'm here." Another common type of sign is recurring numbers or symbols. Perhaps you start constantly seeing a certain combination of digits on clocks, license plates, or receipts that was connected to the departed's date of birth, their age, or some significant event. Or you notice the appearance of certain animals, butterflies, birds, dragonflies, that had special meaning for you and your loved one. These recurring symbols can feel like persistent reminders, intended to get your attention and convey that an unseen force is trying to reach out. Synchronicity also manifests in unexpected meetings or conversations that seem like the perfect answer to your inner questions or prayers. You might meet a person who tells a story remarkably similar to your own, or hear a phrase that becomes exactly the comfort or advice you needed. These moments, though they seem random, are seen by many as proof that the universe or some higher power is guiding them, perhaps at the prompting of those who have passed. An impartial observer might call this a trick of the mind, a subconscious search for meaning in chaos. But for those who are grieving, these signs in everyday life become not just coincidences, but precious threads connecting them to those they've lost, bringing comfort and a sense that love can indeed overcome any boundary. We've explored many ways in which departed loved ones are believed to try to connect with us, from fleeting smells to vivid dreams and signs in everyday life. But a natural question arises. How do you distinguish a genuine message from a trick of the imagination, a desire to see what isn't there, or simply a coincidence? Interpreting these phenomena is a deeply personal process that requires attentiveness, openness, and most importantly, trust in your own feelings. First and foremost, it's important to listen to your intuition. When you encounter something unusual, be it a sudden aroma, a familiar melody, or the appearance of a symbol, pay attention to your internal reaction. Does it evoke a feeling of warmth, peace, recognition, or perhaps a slight stirring? It feels significant? Often, if it's truly a message, it's accompanied by a deep, inexplicable feeling that it's for you and from them. It's also important to consider the context. If an object, smell, or image was inextricably linked to the departed loved one, then its appearance carries much greater weight. For example, if your mom always wore a butterfly brooch, and you suddenly see a butterfly land on your window in a moment of deep sadness, this can be seen as a comforting sign. However, if you just see a butterfly outside, unrelated to her, it's most likely just a butterfly. Being open to these possibilities doesn't mean you should fanatically search for signs in everything. It's important to maintain a balance between faith and a reasonable approach. Don't ascribe mystical significance to every rustle or random coincidence. Instead, cultivate a state of attentiveness and readiness to notice those special moments that stand out from the general flow of life. The most valuable aspect of interpreting these messages isn't so much finding objective proof as it is the personal significance and comfort they bring. If the feeling of connection helps you cope with grief, brings peace, and a sense of continuing love, then that's the main goal. Trust your heart and intuition, because they are the bridge to the deepest and most invisible truths. Are you ready to discover the truth about how your departed loved ones are trying to... Our journey through the world of unseen signs is coming to an end. We've explored how aromas, sounds, dreams, and everyday coincidences can be perceived as messages from those we've lost. And perhaps the most important takeaway from all of this is not to find irrefutable proof, but the healing power that comes from the very feeling of a possible connection. For many people, the awareness that their departed loved ones may be somewhere nearby brings enormous comfort in the grieving process. It helps cope with feelings of loneliness, provides hope, and allows them to maintain a living, albeit transformed, connection. The belief that love doesn't end with death, but simply transitions into another form, can be a powerful source of inner strength. It allows us to remember that the memory of loved ones doesn't fade, but continues to live on in our hearts, thoughts, and perhaps even in those subtle messages we notice. These signs, whether real phenomena or deeply personal interpretations, help us not only to remember, but also to continue the dialogue with those who have passed. They remind us of the importance of love, the value of every moment spent together, and that even after loss, life goes on, and love remains. Ultimately, the most important thing is that these experiences give us peace, help us find meaning in loss, and strengthen our belief in the eternal nature of human connections.